Welcome back to Felicity Was Here. I'm Heather.
I'm Melissa.
And I'm Dr. Joe.
And today we are discussing Felicity Season 1, Episode 22, the season finale, Felicity Was Here. Welcome back, ladies.
I can't believe it's the season finale. It's so crazy.
Yeah, how do we get here?
I don't know. It's been a long journey. And this is the fan favorite episode from Season 1 from our March Madness Season 1 episode competition. And it's also the namesake of our podcast. I don't know if we ever... Did we divulge why we selected this as the name of our podcast? I don't remember if we did. I mean, we were tossing around a lot of ideas.
Gonna say is like all the stuff was taken that we want.
That was part of it, yeah.
Yeah, there's a few other Felicity rewatch podcasts out there. Some of them didn't do all 4 seasons. Some of them were many years ago. I think Dear Sally is like the most obvious one that we could go with. But then it just, as we were looking at some of the other episode titles and thinking of other things like Felicity Was Here, it just really resonated with the fact that, like, A, the show was here, right? Like, we want to remember that the show existed and it had a pretty niche following. Like, we only got 4 seasons. It never reached the same heights as like a Dawson's Creek or a 90210 or a Buffy, which had, 9 seasons, something like that, 10. And so we're just, we're here to honor Felicity because it was an amazing show and not as many people knew about it or watched it. And so, yeah, we just thought that not only was there a tie to this season 1 finale, but it just was really fitting that we wanted to honor the show and celebrate it because we're just the biggest fans of the show. So that's where we got the name of the podcast from. So we're so happy to finally be here at the finale of season 1 talking about it. And we're so glad that all of you love this episode too, because we definitely do. And we have a lot to discuss today. So last week, just as a reminder, Felicity and Noel decided to cool things off before Noel goes to Berlin for his internship. Ben and Julie also broke up because things were too serious, but Ben still persuaded Felicity to go on the road trip with him over the summer, leading to an almost kiss in the back room of Dean and DeLuca. 2 people who did kiss, though, are Elena and Dr. McGrath, who took things beyond just a teacher-student relationship. So this episode, just at the top here, wanted to note that the music, to me, was very expressive and dramatic in this episode. We've mentioned a few other times that what the music that plays on Hulu on streaming is not the same music that played on the original airing. But I still do think that in certain spots, they still got like a good replacement song, but I will also talk about like what the original song was. But I still do think the replacement was very good. So we open with Felicity heading to work as Carmen's Suite No. 2 Habanera plays. So that's an opera. And I really liked that they brought some of this opera music into the episode because it just made everything feel a little bit more dramatic. I don't know if you all feel that way too.
It did feel dramatic.
It definitely heightened the drama.
But I feel like it also gave it like humor because it like wasn't a normal song that they would play in this show. So it kind of made me chuckle a little bit. But yeah, definitely upped the drama.
Yeah, that quirky drama that only Felicity can give us.
The humor and the serious, yeah. I think when we were doing our March Madness voting, one of the people commented on our Instagram that they almost wish that there was a different song playing, something a little more romantic for their first kiss. But we will get to that. So first, though, this Carmen song that they did pick for Hulu, the full name for this aria is in French. I'm not even going to pretend to pronounce it because I will butcher it and embarrass myself. But the meaning is love is a rebellious bird. And I thought that was very fitting. Like, we got a little love is rebellion here. And the opera itself tells the story of the downfall of Don Jose, a soldier who is seduced by the wiles of the fiery Carmen. Jose abandons his childhood sweetheart and deserts from his military duties, yet loses Carmen's love to the glamorous Escamillo, after which Jose kills her in a jealous rage. So I thought it was cool that there's even a love triangle in this opera that they picked. And again, this wasn't, necessarily the original song, but I think the replacement still gave the right tone and had some connections to the story here, which I liked.
Very clever.
But Felicity tells Sally that she's been thinking about the moment with Ben. And she's come to the conclusion that obviously it was all in her mind, which, if history tells us anything, it was all in her mind. Like the teeth flicking, the salsa, all of that stuff has been in her mind. So I can see where she would come to that conclusion. But she's out Dean and DeLuca at work, and Ben got a haircut, and Felicity's staring at him and thinking about their almost kiss in the back room. So she's stacking heart-shaped cookies, very convenient, and is reminded of why she came to New York in the first place, what it felt like in high school, and what she used to feel for Ben. So this almost kiss has dredged up all these feelings for her. But she said it was nothing because otherwise life would get very complicated. But then Ben comes up to her and asks, "What the hell was that?" It's like, "What?" Says, "Did you and I almost kiss?" She says, "I don't know, did we?" She loves answering questions with questions. So I don't know, did we? And Ben says, "I think we did." And they're like, okay, like this could get really complicated. And we know it does.
I want to add something about the cookies. I don't know if you noticed. Obviously you noticed they were heart-shaped, but they were half chocolate, half plain. So they were split. Even the cookie was like half your heart's going one way, half the heart's going the other way. I thought that was extra cute.
So much
I know.
symbolism in this episode.
Yeah, they really went for it.
I thought it was so funny that he says, "What the hell was that?" like a day later. It was like last night. Like we didn't get to see what really happened after that awkward moment. But then a whole day later, he's just like, "What the hell was that?" That made me laugh.
Clearly, he's still thinking about it all too.
They had to let it marinate.
Yeah.
It wasn't obvious right away. It had to sink in that they didn't know what it was.
Which is also very Felicity of him. You know, I think he, in this episode, talks a lot about how she thinks about all this meaning. This is the first time where he is kind of like, oh, wait, like, what was that? I've been thinking about this. What is the meaning of that? Was that an almost kiss? What happened? You know, so that was kind of funny, too. Their roles were a little reversed there.
Nice.
So then we get the same shot of Felicity sitting in her room on her bed, talking to Sally on her tape recorder, silhouetted by that yellowy window shade as we did in the pilot. And I love that in this episode, there are a lot of things that come full circle from the pilot, like from where we started. So we get this same shot of her from the pilot, which was gorgeous. She tells Sally that this year went by very fast. She goes to put on Ben's necklace and is starting to pack up her room. And in the closet, she finds a list of all the people who lived in her room that goes all the way back to 1968. And she starts wondering where they are today, if they remember their freshman year, and if they're still alive. So she's getting very existential here. She then goes to Julie's room where they're eating on the floor. And Julie says that breaking up sucks. Felicity says, well, I'm thinking of not even going with Ben on this road trip. But Julie says, no, you need to go. And kind of like keep tabs on him. Like if he starts talking about some other girl or you get hints that there's someone else, you need to let me know. Just because guys don't give that like, oh, I'm confused, things are serious speech unless they've got a backup already planned, right? And Felicity says, okay.
All right. First of all, he didn't give that speech. She gave it for him. Okay. Also, what do you ladies think? Is it fair for Julie to make that request to Felicity? Is that reasonable to kind of put her in the middle of things and be like, spy on him, keep tabs on him for me? Also, leaving aside this whole had a crush on Ben since forever thing, would you be willing to do it? Or, would you want to stay out of it? And does it matter if he does have a crush on somebody else or is interested in somebody else since they already broke up? And Julie, is the one who broke up with him anyway. What do you make of all that? Are these requests fair, reasonable, or logical in any way?
Okay, so look, is it fair? No. But I think a lot of us in this situation, we would continue these days to stalk their Instagram, their Facebook. Like, we keep tabs on our exes. I think that's just kind of a normal thing, especially because it did kind of come out of nowhere for him to all of a sudden be questioning things. And if she does think that something's going on, I could see where she'd be curious. Now, it's a little different because Felicity is such good friends with both of them now that does put her in the middle. That said, ovaries before broveries. You probably should be with your friend and if, like hang with her and back her up instead of like covering for the guy if there are other things going on. So, I mean, do I think it's fair of her to ask that? Probably not, but like I think it's pretty natural. Like we all want to keep tabs and know what's going on and, does it matter? No. That's what I immediately thought. I'm like, well, it doesn't really matter. You're broken up. So even if there is someone else, it's not like you need to know that information, but are we all curious? I think so.
Yeah, I think it'd be fair for her to ask that if there wasn't this whole history with Felicity and Ben. Like, if it was just another different friend, sure, yeah, do a little stakeout, see what you can find. But I don't know. It's just weird. It's weird that they're even, at this point in the episode, like, still talking about Ben and Felicity just going together. Like, I feel like that's kind of strange. I know she's friends with him, but it's just the two of them. It's not that cool group hang anymore. It's just weird. I don't know. I think Julie If I were Julie, I'd be like, you don't have to go anymore. That's going to be awkward.
Yeah, I think once Felicity says, I don't even know if I'm going to go, it's weird for her to be like, no, you have to go because you have to tell me, blah, blah, blah. That's a little weird. If Felicity was just going anyway and she said, let me know if you hear anything, that's different.
Yeah.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, ladies.
Do you have an opinion?
Nope.
No.
Nope. I'd probably do something rotten in real life. But my adult self would be like, I'm going to stay the hell out of this. My name is Paul. This is between y'all. I would just not want to be involved. As my grown self, as my younger self, hell yes. I'd get in the car with him, and I wouldn't be spying on him. I'd be lying on him.
No.
On top of him, underneath him, all the next to him, all the things. That's what's what.
Yeah.
I don't know what else
Absolutely.
to say. Yeah, that's all I got.
And then lying, fibbing to Julie about what's happening.
Yes, lying all up and down, all around. Yes, that's right. That's right.
Nope, he's got no one else in on the back burner.
Well, I would say I'm nobody. I'm not a real person. That would be really truthful in my spirit. That's true to my spirit. So
Nice.
yeah, loopholes.
So then Julie goes to the loft to pick up some of her stuff that's left there because she was basically living there. And Ben couldn't find this hard drive thing that she was looking for, but he says that she can come back whenever she wants. But Julie goes to give him his keys back, and he says to keep them because she knows she's going to come back, which I thought was a little open. And I don't know, to me, it kind of gave her a little hope. Maybe at that point he was still thinking like we didn't need to break up. But like to me, it almost gave her a little hope that like we could still get back together, or this doesn't have to be permanent, or it might be a break. So I don't know if you were getting any of those feelings, but I feel like it gave her maybe a little bit of hope and wasn't really kind of him to say, unless he was being very specific to, you're going to come back to look for the disc. I don't know. He left that part out. So,
well, she's practically a fixture there.
Yeah.
So it'd be hard to imagine her not returning in some capacity, like even just on a friend level. And I think to me, it really spoke to how much he was trying to be as friendly and decent about this whole split as possible, more than she probably would have latched onto that and maybe gotten some little glimmers of hope. I don't think he meant it that way. I think he was just trying to be like, let's be friends, not have this be turmoil and discord.
But like have keys to my apartment? I don't know. Like just friends. I don't know if you have keys to their apartment.
Kind of thought it was ballsy of him to say, you're coming back. Like, she's still mad at you, bro. Like, why are you saying you're coming back? Like, he's so cocky about it. You're coming back. Like, she's upset.
I didn't see it as cocky. I think he's a dum-dum and doesn't perceive all these things. I think he's unaware is what I meant to say besides dum-dum. I think he has a lack of awareness.
Dum-dum's appropriate.
I think it is. I kind of have this theory that the shorter Ben's hair gets, the dumber he is. Do you guys notice that?
We're gonna have to track that.
Because I'm watching season 2 right now, and it's kind of happening, though.
I will say I do like the longer hair better.
Yes, this is a little too short. I like it when it's like maybe
medium. Yeah.
This was a little, it's too fresh.
Although the buzz cut in season 4, that's when I had like my Ben awakening where I was like, okay, yeah, he's hot.
Okay.
Okay, looking forward to that.
So she asks Ben if he's living there next year. He is. And then Ben says he'll call her. As she goes to leave, Julie says, you know what? Don't. I don't want to look forward to a phone call as awkward as this. She says, have a good summer. And I think that's fair for her to say.
Yeah. And I think if that's the case, if she's trying to have a harder line here and a break, like a hard cut there, she probably should have just given him the keys or just like left them. If he won't accept them in his hand, like, leave them on the counter somewhere. Just be like, no, we really need to have a clean break. Give me some space and we'll revisit hanging out in the future. But this needs to get shut down all the way for her to recover. Just because he says, you're coming back doesn't mean she has to keep the keys. She could have given them back. If she was going to say don't call, she could have given the keys back too.
Unless she was keeping them just to look for her things and then was going to leave them. I don't know. But yeah.
Well, it's a convenient plot point at the very least.
It is. Then we go to Elena, who is lying in bed looking at McGrath, who is sleeping next to her. Barf sound effect. I'm sorry. It's so nasty.
It's barfy. I know.
But she does.
Warming up to him.
I'm sorry, what?
Why?
PhD's revoked.
Because I watched Fright Night. I will talk about that later.
Oh.
But it occurred to me, when I was getting my degree, I had a professor crush, and he wasn't a super, super, super hot dude, but my friend and I had this big crush on him because he was just so cool. And I think I talked about this before. He was just so brilliant and so passionate about the work he was doing, and we were just so captivated by it. And I think he has a similar presence in the show to Elena, that she'd really admire him and have that crush. But he unfortunately, inappropriately reciprocated. That's the difference. It would have broken my heart if that professor caught wind of my crush and was like, "Hey girl, what's up?" I would have been like completely devastated. Yeah. So I think that's the difference. But yeah, he was hot in 1985.
Having a crush is fine. It's normal. But yeah, he stepped over the line. He crossed the line.
He stepped over the line for sure. But I can comprehend her having a crush on him.
I don't think Elena's gross. I think he is gross.
Yes.
He's gross for participating in all this.
Yeah. And totally. It just makes me feel icky that she likes him because he did all this stuff. So
yes, that is all barf. Yeah. I completely agree with that. I'm just saying he was hot in 1985. I don't want to drop that. That's the hill I'm going to die on. Okay. Just letting you know.
So she gets out of bed. She does look absolutely gorgeous. Again, had a glow up in these last 2 episodes, but she's just kind of walking around his room. You can tell she's in this little bubble of feeling amazing, like her, fantasy dreams are coming true. And she sees that there are papers on the table. It's the final exams. And she starts flipping through them because McGrath is still sleeping. So she sees her paper and she got a B-, which to her is like an F, right? Because Elena's used to A's.
I mean, yeah. So that is an F.
McGrath starts to wake up, so she, just kind of jumps back from the table, like, isn't looking at anything, right? And that's the end of the scene. But I will also say how convenient that he just leaves out the final exams in this room when he knows that he's going to have a student over. I'm assuming it's his place, not the hotel room. Either way, he just happens to leave the final exams out. I think that was shady.
Bold as hell, though. Have a student over is the bold part. Like leaving, at that point, what does it matter what you leave out?
But I think he wanted her to see her grade.
I don't think so. No.
So then she can see just it later. Care. Oh, know that he changed it later.
I don't know. But
otherwise, she would just be like, "Oh yeah, I got an A because I always do." But now she knows that he changed it. I think that was on purpose.
Maybe. Could have been. It could have been. I didn't get that. I think it just was because he's sloppy and messy as a human.
Yeah.
So he would do something like that and not really consider the implications around it because he's selfish. So I don't know.
All right.
But I do want to give a shout out to the actual Chris Sarandon, the actor, the person. This man is 81 years old and he is very active on Instagram.
He's 81 now. Oh my God.
Does he still look good?
And I can't believe how much he posts on Instagram. And he's gardening, and he's got his own podcast, you guys. He's got a podcast about cooking. He's really an active dude, and he's 81, and I can't believe it. And he's going to the little cons and stuff, and doing his Jack Skellington thing right now. And I think that's really cool. Good for him for living it up. He's not letting age stop him. He's just living his life. I think that's amazing.
Oh, I found him. Yeah, he doesn't look bad.
He's got a fucking podcast.
He's gardening, and that's
what I'm talking about. He's getting his onions,
he's picking some asparagus and some potatoes. Yeah, he's
still got it. He's a cool dude.
He's wearing an earring in one of these. Wow.
I don't know. It's how progressive of him to just, be with the times at that age. I
good
can't
for
believe
him.
It. Good for him. Also good for him in Fright Night, 1985. Hot. I'm done.
Noted.
Tag him when we post this, okay?
Tag.
I'll do this little sound snippet and make a reel just for him.
See if we can do a collab.
Seriously, he can
come on our podcast. We can go on his. I'll eat his food.
Yeah. He's got a pod. He knows how to do this stuff, even though he's 81.
Exactly.
We
can
ask him how he feels about the Elena storyline now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is it. Chris, bro, come on the pod. So then we go to the mailroom, where Noel comes up to Felicity and says, "Come with me." He says that he was in bed alone last night, which was really weird because, him and Felicity are just friends again. And he had an epiphany. She should come to Berlin for 2 weeks. Conveniently, the same amount of time that she would be on this road trip with Ben. It says, and I kind of already ordered your ticket, but it is refundable in the off chance that she says no. So then no one gets hurt, quote unquote. And then he tells her, don't say yes now, think about it, and then say yes later. So she says that she will think about it. And she tells Sally, but like, really, what's there to think about? A trip to Europe with a guy you love who's your almost boyfriend. So she tells Sally that she's decided to confront this Ben thing head on and is going over right now.
I wonder how that's going to go.
But I gotta say,
Like, I don't know why this couldn't have been a phone call if she was really that dead set.
Exactly.
And why she's still wearing that necklace. Like, the man you love, but she's wearing a necklace another dude gave her. I don't understand her right now.
She doesn't understand her. I would have to agree. I don't know what there is to think about. I would also go to Europe with a guy who's my almost boyfriend. Like, I'll study abroad. Hell yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then on streaming, Carmen, that song starts playing again as she heads over to the loft. But in the original airing of the show, the song that's playing is Ravel's Bolero, which is another orchestral piece. And it features an experimental orchestral crescendo, which is like an increase in volume and intensity, lasting for a quarter of an hour, based exclusively on a 2-bar rhythm repeated over and over 169 times. So there's only two melodic ideas in the piece. So again, 2 alternating ideas with a slow burn to a climax. That sounds familiar. So again, the original song also was very, very thoughtfully selected, obviously, because Felicity's constantly going back and forth. And this whole thing with Ben has been a very slow burn over a season. Too slow because I didn't see it coming.
No.
But yeah, now the Carmen piece is playing, which still fits because there's a love triangle here. So at the loft, Felicity tells Ben that she can't go, and there's a million reasons why. Ben wants to hear that. Like, well, what are just some of them? Tell me. I want to hear what these reasons are. So she says, well, there's 3 in particular. There's 1, the Noel factor. He's asked her to go to Berlin. Number 2, there's the Julie factor, which is sort of killing her. She says that it's like how Nicole made him feel uncomfortable being around Lynn. That's how she feels just even hanging out with Julie now. But Ben says that there's a huge difference. Lynn and Nicole were still dating. Him and Julie are broken up. Said, all right, so what's the third? Because he's like, oh, point proven. What's the third thing? Felicity says, it's the moment. You know what the third thing is. It's the almost kiss moment. But Ben doesn't see why that's a reason not to drive cross country. And she says, because. He says, because? That's your reason? Like, well, look, the Noel thing, I don't know. Berlin sounds great. Maybe you should go with him. The Julie factor, I don't know what to say about that. But the third thing, it's only a factor because in that moment we did not kiss. So it's this big unanswered question. And she says, yeah, I think you're exactly right. And then he jumps up out of his chair and kisses her. And it's not a peck. It's a pretty long one.
He like teleported to her. He was there in a second.
Super hot. Yeah. Oh my God. I gotta say,
it was a jump scare.
I thought it was pretty intense, and it was one of my favorite TV kisses ever. Just the way that the chair like flies back, and it's so unexpected.
For the Team Ben people, it is quite the moment. Like, must have been jumping up and down on the couch. That finally happened. So as he finally pulls away, she is dumbfounded. She's just like shocked that that's what happened. And as he sits back down, he says that he's been wanting to do that for a long time. Which, again, don't know if I buy that. I'm like, when did that start?
That was strange.
Yeah.
The long time comment drew me as well. I was like, I don't know about that. How long is a long time? Do we have different perceptions of time passage? Probably.
That's true. When you're younger, like, a week is like a month. But she gets up to leave. She doesn't say anything. He's just like, wait, like, you're leaving? Where are you going? She's like, it's a flight reflex. And she just gets the hell out of there. But instead, she heads to Noel's room. And he is putting together a slideshow about Berlin just to show her what she'd be missing if she didn't go. And Felicity stops by and she tells him yes. And he is so excited. He goes up and kisses her. She looks kind of excited at first too, like this is going to be so great. But then you can kind of see the wheels are still turning in her brain. And at this point, I don't love that she did. Like, she was just saying yes out of guilt, and I really hated that.
Also, and this is something I didn't notice, my husband noticed while I was watching it for the third time back to back taking my notes and everything. He noticed it, and I didn't even notice it. He's like, oh, her cheek, she's all flushed after she just got done kissing Ben, and she went over there, and look, her face is all flushed still. And I was like, oh my God, you're right. She's blushing so bad right now. It was a little bit awkward in that interaction with Noel because she was still somewhere else.
Just kissed
with someone
another
else.
guy. Yeah.
Yep. I thought that was a nice little detail too. I'm sorry I didn't notice it, but I appreciate the detail.
Then in lecture, Felicity tells Elena that Ben kissed her, and Elena's like, oh my God, that's great. And she thinks that Felicity should go with Ben, not Noel. She says that she would say the same thing if Julie were sitting there right then, which, again, she's got some balls, that Elena.
She bold. Yeah. She keeps it real.
Which I believe her, too. Like, she would.
Oh, absolutely. I believe that. Yeah.
But she's, I guess, Team Ben and thinks that Felicity should go with him on the road trip. But then McGrath comes in with the final grades, and Elena tells Felicity that she messed up on this final. But Felicity's like, oh, you always say that. You always do great. McGrath passes out the papers, and Elena looks at her grade, and now it says A. She got an A now. And McGrath keeps kind of like walking around the table, passing out papers. She looks up and looks at him. And this is why I think, like, he gave her a knowing look. It was like a, yeah, you got an A now. That's why I think that he did the leaving the papers out intentionally, because I think he wanted her to know. Because now he's got something over her. She can't tell anyone, because then...
That's a great point, yeah.
Like, she'll have to give back her grades or people will think that she didn't earn it. So that's why I think it was intentional.
That's legit. That's really actually part of grooming stuff, and that's brilliant that you picked up on that. Very good. No, well, no, because it makes me think of, I don't want to get too creepy, but sometimes when predators are, like, seducing a person they're not supposed to, they might give an underage person alcohol, for example, or show them certain media content that they shouldn't be looking at. And they'll be like, well, you watched this stuff with me, you drank, you're going to get in trouble because you were drinking all this alcohol. So it's like, yeah, it is a similar thing, but it's, yeah, in the academic arena, it'd be like, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, now you can't tell.
How are you going to tell on me?
Exactly, because you got your grades improved. I think his looks said a lot to me.
That's excellent. I retract everything I said except for the parts where I was saying that he was hot in 1985. I still stand by that.
Fine. I'll allow it.
Okay, thank you.
I've never seen that movie, but I'm sure he was very good looking when he was young.
He was, oh my gosh, the way he moves.
He
too.
was.
Oh Lord.
He was.
It was a lot. I was like,
okay.
I got sweaty. Okay, I gotta go.
So then Felicity keeps telling Sally that she couldn't even consider going with Ben, right? Like, there's no way I can consider this. And she's packing up her room still, which is almost empty, and Megan's side of the room looks almost empty, and she's there just grabbing the last few items. She turns to Felicity and says, so this is it? Felicity's like, yep, have a good time at Wicca camp. So we know that Megan's going to Wicca camp over the summer.
It's cute.
Yeah,
I love that.
I love it. Because, she's got the force, right? She has to harness it now. So Megan leaves the room, but then comes right back in and hands Felicity an envelope. She tells her that in the second week of school, she wrote something down, put it in an envelope, and sealed it shut. So Felicity opens it and reads the note. It says, there's no chance in hell Felicity's going to make it through the whole year. So Megan said that she was going to give it to Felicity when she left in the middle of the year, as in I told you so. She's like, but, she made it. She's like, I'm impressed. So they talk about their plans for next year, if they're living in Kelvin again, and Felicity says she's thinking about becoming an RA. And Megan says, me too, and then leaves. Of course, Felicity thinks is strange because Megan as an RA is laughable, but Megan's thinking about it.
There. I think that was pretty funny.
It was like she could barely talk to Felicity. How's she going to talk to a whole floor of advisees? Yeah.
It's true. She would get so annoyed so fast.
Yeah.
If she was even there on the premises at all.
Exactly.
Like, so funny.
So later, someone knocks on Felicity's door, and it's Ben. He says that she's been avoiding him, but he really wants her to come with him. But Felicity says, that's really kind that you want me to go. But Ben says, no, it's not kind. It's what I want. He says that he understands what she's saying about Noel and Julie, but he has a feeling that this is what she wants to. Felicity says that she can't go with him because that would make her the devil. And he says that he's not the devil. It's like, why? She says, because if we were going to drive across the country, it wouldn't be platonic. And he says, okay, that's totally fine. We'll just do it as friends. And she says, like that's not going to be possible, but he wants to prove it to her that they could just be friends on this road trip. So he sits down on her bed and gets her to sit next to him. And he pretends that they're in the car. He's driving. And this, I will say, very funny Ben moments here. Because he's like, oh, I'm sorry. Did you want to drive? She's like, no, you can drive. He's like, oh, this is a smooth ride, isn't it?
Oh, my God. I love when he said
funny.
that. It's so cute.
Yeah. What a dork. I love
I'm
it.
sorry. Did you want to drive? It was very funny. So they're driving.
Adorable.
Everything's fine. But Felicity says, well, what about if we get to a motel that only has one bed? So then Ben says, all right. He lies down and tells her to lie down next to him. And she's a little wary at first because, like, I'm not going to do anything, right? So she lies down and they're both trying to pretend like everything is fine, that they're just friends, but there's tension building, right? So then she pops up out of bed and wants him to leave. But he says, look, I know that you want to go, or you're at least thinking about me more because you're wearing that necklace again that I got you, which, fair, she is. But she says, nope, okay, time to go. Let's go. Get out of here. And walks into the elevator because, yeah, she's catching feelings. Well, she's had feelings, but things are getting too sexually tense. So as she takes him to the elevator, Noel runs out to catch the elevator too, of course. So he gets in with Ben and he's checking with Felicity that she's gone to the passport place. She's like, no, I'm going to go tomorrow. He's like, well, what are you waiting for? We only got a couple days. She's like, I will go to the passport place tomorrow. And Noel tells Ben that they're going to Berlin. Ben says, yeah, that's what Felicity says, which in my opinion was so smug because he's implying that's what she says she's going to do, but it's not what she's really going to do. And that's mean. Like, Noel hasn't done anything to him.
He's a little cocky. He gets cocky sometimes.
I feel like, if anything, he was teasing Felicity more than he was teasing Noel. Like, because he felt the vibes coming off of her. Because when they were laying down, I felt like she wanted it so much more than he did. And that's why she sprang out of the bed, because her feelings were building. I think he's kind of making fun of her a little bit because she's so non-committal and conflicted and
still right in front of Noel. Didn't like that.
But he doesn't know. He doesn't know, so he's not like like laughing at him.
It's smug. It's comfy. But the elevator doors shut as Felicity looks at both of them. So those are, again, her two paths off down the elevator together. Loved that shot. Felicity does go to the passport place to get her photo taken, which, again, great callback to the pilot when she's getting her ID photo taken. And she's kind of bullshitting around with the photographer, talking about Germany. He's like, oh, do you speak German? She's like, no. And then as she's getting her photo taken, she asks him, this photographer has ever driven across country. Says, oh, like a road trip? Yeah, absolutely. He's like, you gotta do it at least once in your life. It's so romantic. Oh, yeah, driving across country is great. And then he says, yeah, enjoy Germany. But clearly she's still thinking about driving across the country.
Yeah.
If she's getting her passport photo taken and asking some random dude what he thinks, she's clearly tormented. And I didn't have time to confirm this, and I had some DVD player issues, but I believe that the photographer's voice is J.J. Abrams.
I was going to ask. I thought it either had to be him or Matt Reeves for sure.
I think it's
Because I
JJ.
looked it up and I tried to Google it and I couldn't find anything. And I was like, Heather's got to know this.
I'll confirm at some point somewhere on the pod or in Discord or something, because
Yes.
I do have the DVD commentary, but I was just not able to access it in time for recording. But I think that's
That's all
JJ's
right.
voice.
Yeah, drop it in the Discord.
Yeah, exactly. Then we go to the lecture hall where Felicity's sitting and Julie sits down next to her and says, I know who Ben likes. Felicity tenses up immediately and says, did he talk to you? So she did neither confirm nor deny or start apologizing, but she was just like, oh, so did Ben talk to you? But Julie says, no, Lynn did, and he told her about Nicole. Felicity says, so you think Ben likes Nicole? She says, yeah, apparently she was making these moves on him, and that's why her and Lynn broke up. She said, wait, did you know about that, about Nicole, and you didn't tell me? And Felicity says that he mentioned something at work about Nicole paying a lot of attention to him. Julie, I think rightfully so, is flabbergasted that Felicity didn't tell her about this. But Felicity says that she doesn't think Ben likes Nicole. Julie says, well, if it's not her, then who is it? Why do you
Gulp.
why do you both think she never told Julie about Nicole? Like, why was she protecting Ben more than her friend Julie?
Because Ben wasn't hitting on Nicole. Nicole was hitting on Ben. And he was clearly, he hid from her at work. It's not like he was like, hey, girl, what's up? And like making eyes back at her. Like he was very uncomfortable. So clearly he wasn't interested and didn't want to pursue that. So I would have thought, if I was Felicity, I don't know like my real whole self right now, but I would have been like, well, clearly he's not interested. So why do I need to stir up more drama than needs to be? Because he was not reciprocating. He was running and hiding from Nicole.
I feel like I would have said something probably like, oh, that creepy girl came in and bothered your boyfriend again today. Like, wow, she won't stop. I don't know. Yeah.
The shit talker in me, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That tracks for me. Yeah, I would have been like, yo, this funky bitch is running up on yo man.
That's the thing. Like, yeah, even if he's not doing anything about it. Well, first of all, Ben should have told Julie, but he didn't.
He should have.
Yeah.
So that's why when you frame the question as why was she protecting Ben, that's why I answered the way I did at first. But if you frame it as just girls talking to girls being like, look at this bitch, then yeah, I wouldn't have been able to help myself. I would have talked so much shit if I was aware of that. I've been like, you're never going to believe what this dank-ass hoe did. She came up into my place of business to talk to yo man in his place of business. Like, I would have talked a bunch of shit, actually. Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I think Ben should have told Julie, but since he didn't, if Julie is your best friend, I don't know, I probably would have said something like, did you know that this Nicole swim team girl who has a boyfriend has been hitting on your boyfriend? Like, I know Ben's not doing anything about it, but to me, I would still want my girlfriend to know. I don't know.
But Felicity, so we're asking, what would you do? What would I do? Shit talker Joe's going to say some bullshit. But is Felicity wanting to, again, get involved in some controversy, some conflict, some relationship
She's
stuff?
been working on that, though. She's trying not to be a Budinsky.
Trying not to be.
So,
all right, fine. She picks the wrong times to butt and not butt.
I'll give you that. That's actually for real. But yeah, I think that's an awkward position to be in.
That is.
But you know, ovaries before ovaries. That's a fair point too. But I think she's got enough, like her brain's scrambled enough, and it's the end of the school year and finals are coming up, and she doesn't necessarily need to get into this whole love dynamic with some other couple stuff when she doesn't even know what her and Noel are, and she's gonna go be like, hey Julie, I don't know what's going on over here, but you might want to check into that. I don't think she's got time. Ain't nobody got time for that.
All right. Fair.
Felicity doesn't have time for that.
Yeah.
I don't think she wants to deal with the awkwardness of that. I think that'd make her very uncomfortable.
Well, Felicity tells Sally that at that moment she should have just come out and told Julie that the girl that Ben likes she thinks is her. But then Julie would have asked her how she feels about Ben, and she doesn't know how she would have answered that question. But Felicity says, what if I considered going with Ben? Considering doesn't hurt anyone. I don't know if that's accurate. Yeah.
It's not helping anybody.
Doesn't hurt while it doesn't help, that's for sure. So it looks like probably after work, Felicity's waiting for Ben at the loft. And they're like out in the city streets of New York with the steam coming up from the grates, and it's just glistening and beautiful. And she stands up and says to him, so what if we did this? And Ben just smiles his little smile. So they go up to the loft. And she tells Ben that she shouldn't even be there right now. It's just that she was trying to figure it all out, what it would mean if they went together. Ben says, why does everything have to have so much meaning? He says he's never met someone so desperate for meaning. He says, look, I'm leaving tonight. Are you coming with? He says, no, I can't because I'm the devil. He says, look, you're not the devil. He's like, and even if you were, I'd still want you to come with me. And she says, please, if I were the devil, you would not want me to come with you. She said, besides, there's other people involved. Ben says, but he can't help it. He likes her. Yes, she analyzes everything, which scared him at first, but she's smart about things. She's been a good friend to him, and he really likes her. So I'm going to pause there. I do think that part resonates. Like, yes, she is a serious person. That freaked him out at first. So I could see where, like, now that they are really close friends, maybe he's realizing, like, oh, but she is really smart because she thinks about a lot of things. But then the piece about being a good friend to him, I'm like, yeah, but Julie's been an awesome girlfriend to you too. Like, she was just there for you recently. So that part, I just, again, didn't feel like that gelled very well with the storyline. Like, oh, you've been a good friend. And I'm like, yeah, but Julie's also really been really good to you. So that didn't feel.
Julie who?
Joe's over it.
Oh, God.
Julie be gone.
Yeah, I just wish throughout this season, like, we had seen more of him actually, like, little tidbits of him falling for her in a romantic way, because this was so sudden. And I like that he did say that, like, he appreciates how good of a friend she's been and everything. I wish he would have given specifics, like, you know, when you helped me after the gambling thing, that like really opened my eyes to you, or something more specific other than him just saying, I like you. Why does everything have to have meaning? Let's just do this. Like, I wanted it to have a little more meaning, to be more special, but yeah.
I mean, he didn't propose to her. He's just trying to get in a car with her. Like, he doesn't have to have everything all figured out and like be like, oh, I want to get married to you tonight. Let's go elope on the way home. Let's stop in Vegas. Like,
I'm not saying they should get married. I know.
Yeah, she could be a good friend who he wants to get to know a little bit better.
Yes. So then he says that they have a chance to go on this trip together and he wants to do it. And she replies that she wants to too. And as they lean in to probably kiss again, who comes down the stairs but Julie? And my stomach still drops every time I watch that scene.
That's rough. It's rough.
She found her disc and neither of them say anything and she just leaves. And that too, I couldn't believe that they were like, wait, let's stop and talk about this, or I'm sorry. They just let her leave and they don't say a fucking word. It was crazy.
Wow, they were so shocked.
Stunned.
But also, why was her disc like in Sean's bed area? Like, why was it up there? Why?
Maybe Sean was borrowing it. I don't know.
Yeah. But if they did try to talk to her, do you think Julie would have been able to receive anything they were saying in that moment? She seemed pretty pissed.
No.
So I don't know how much good it would have done anyway to be like, yo, wait, let's talk about this. She would have been like, fuck off.
Probably not. But even just oh my God, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just thought, they didn't even try.
Yeah.
But yeah, they were probably shocked.
I think they were too shocked.
I get why, but I just think it's wild that she just leaves. But Felicity, it looks like, does follow her and goes to Julie's room to tell her that she's sorry she heard that. And that was bold, too. It wasn't like, I'm so sorry that I hurt you. It's, I'm sorry you heard that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's reasonable, though, too, in a sense, because, like, I'm sorry you had to find out about it that way kind of sentiment, I think, more than sorry you heard that, like, sorry I got caught kind of sentiment.
But she does say she should have gone to her in the first place and told her up front. Julie says, no, that would have been hard. How do you tell someone you're trying to steal their boyfriend? Says that she...
Hold on. Okay, no, actually keep going. I'm just going to bitch about this later. Oh, sorry. Oh my God, this girl drive me crazy today.
Oh, okay. No, go. I want to hear.
Trying to steal your boyfriend. They're broken up, bitch. You're the one who broke up with him. Like, why do you keep referring to him like as if there's an active relationship? Like, oh, keep tabs on him and see who he likes and see who he's talking about and blah, 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 blah. And you're trying to steal my boyfriend. No, bitch, nobody's trying to steal your man. He ain't your man because you broke up with him.
Yeah, but in her mind, there's no other reason. I'm not saying this is right, but in her mind, like, she thinks the only time or reason the guys bring up the I'm confused speech is if they are already into someone else. So she is thinking there's someone else here that's got his mind. And so now she's thinking it was Felicity before too, this whole time trying to take him away.
Right.
So again, she's not right, but that's
also,
what she's thinking in her mind.
She's the one who gave the I'm confused speech for him. She spoke for him.
Well, he said he did. He was confused. He's like, I don't know what I'm saying. I don't know what I'm trying to say. Things are heavy, they're serious.
Because he's not a good communicator. He was saying, I don't know how to say this because he doesn't have good words. He doesn't know how to talk to people.
I think the breaking up part she put in his mouth, but like he was confused.
I think he was confused about the intensity of their status. I don't think he was confused about like, should I go with this girl or that girl?
I mean, a day later, he's almost kissing someone else, so I don't know. I think it's fair-ish. He's only exploring his feelings for Felicity because Julie broke up with him now. I don't know. I think there was clearly something brewing. And it wasn't just the clothes.
For a long time, right? It was brewing for a long
time. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Julie says that she feels so stupid talking to Felicity about the other woman and says he's a good kisser, isn't he? Oof. Again, my stomach.
Ouch.
I'm so uncomfortable.
Jab after jab after jab.
Be like, yeah, he is. Really good.
Felicity says that she didn't plan this. She's so sorry. But Julie says she doesn't care. I don't care what you are. You can be sorry or not. You're just a lying bitch.
Ooh, that hurt.
Too far.
I don't think so. I think she obviously has been lying and she just kissed and is like going to go on vacation with your ex-boyfriend. I'm in this moment, I'm not normally pro Julie, but I think she's fair in this moment.
So the reason I don't like it, it's it's Felicity. Let's all take a step back. Would we characterize Felicity Porter, as a lying bitch? Would anybody on the planet characterize, describe, define Felicity Porter as a lying bitch? No, that's outrageous. That's out fucking outrageous. Yeah, did she lie? But no, she's not a bitch. She was sitting here. If you were listening this whole time, Julie, she was talking about, I'm the devil, I'm the devil. She was clearly feeling guilty. She wasn't saying like, you know what, fuck these hoes, fuck Julie, fuck Noel, I want to get mine. She wasn't doing that. She was very conflicted. So to me, that's not a bitch. That's somebody who, the heart wants what the heart wants. That's a tragedy. But to call her a bitch, that's too much. That's too much.
Yeah.
Call me a lying bitch. Don't call Felicity a lying bitch.
Wow, and now you're defending Felicity. This episode's crazy. Normally you're like, Felicity's stupid.
Well, she is, but she's not a bitch.
Oh, no. No, I gotta agree. I gotta agree with you on that, Dr. Joe. She wasn't doing any of this with malicious intent. She was just trying to follow her heart, so.
Shit happens.
So then Felicity tells Julie that she's not going with Ben, but Julie wants her to leave. Just leave. Felicity says, no, I'm not going with Ben. I'm going to Berlin with Noel. And Julie says, I'm not really sure you're going to Berlin with Noel.
Ooh.
Julie told Noel.
Yeah.
And then Felicity says, how could you do that? I'm like, they leg to stand on here.
Yeah.
Like, wait, how could you do that to me? I'm like, wait, what did you just do to your friend? Like, yeah.
That seems bitchy because she seemed to enjoy that, the way she said it. I mean, like,
100% she did.
Like, that's a bitchy move. Felicity was just caught up in her feel. Like, she's just confused. Her hormones are making her dum-dums.
Mm-hmm.
In her anger.
She had malicious intent, though. Like, Melissa, there's a difference there.
Mm-hmm.
She definitely wanted to hurt Felicity, and Felicity didn't want anybody to get hurt, and there's the big difference for me. Yes, actions did lead to hurting people,
I was
but
say,
Felicity
like,
didn't want that.
I didn't want anyone, but they're gonna get hurt when you are pursuing this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, you don't want them to be hurt, but you know that doing that will hurt your supposed best friend and your supposed guy you love that's your almost boyfriend. Like, it's gonna hurt these people, and you're disregarding that and doing what you want anyway. So
I mean, I get, and I do know that there's a difference between intent and outcome, how things affect people. But Julie specifically intended to be hurtful, and I don't like that. Like, the act, she went out of her way to cause harm.
Gotcha. So then Felicity goes to Noel's room to continue on her apology tour, and he's pissed and packing up, can barely look at her, but Felicity asks if they can just talk, but all he says is that he wants the ticket back, obviously. Like, that.
Obviously.
So she just takes it out of her bag, sets it down, and walks away. And yeah, Noel looked very good in that. That just had his little shirt, and I don't know, he looked very good. And the lighting, of course. But all of a sudden, Felicity's back at Papaleo's office, which we haven't seen him since the beginning of the school year. So I thought it was funny to bring him back again, maybe to go full circle. I don't know.
Well, yeah, Noel's been guiding her this whole time. She didn't need her guidance counselor. She had the RA.
Yeah, that's true. So Felicity tells Papaleo that she hopes that she learned something, that this whole year wasn't just for nothing. Said there were people here that she had never met who became so important to her. They felt like real friends. I'm like, if you're willing to hurt them and do all this stuff, are they that important? I don't know. And Papaleo asks if she's still thinking about becoming an RA. And as she's sitting there crying about her life, she says she doesn't feel qualified to be giving anyone else advice. But Papaleo says, yeah, but you've been through it. Like, you've actually done all this and been through all of this. So he says, see you next year. And yes, she's coming back. So then Felicity's doing more packing with another knock at the door. And it's Ben again. She thought he had left. And he said that he did. He left and came back. She asks him why. He says, why do you think? She said, you didn't come back for me, did you? He says, yeah, he did. He was driving around trying to think of something that would convince her to come with him. And that if she were him, she'd have some great reason, some big speech with all this meaning. But he says he doesn't have that. All he has is that he likes her. He says he never wanted to hurt Julie, and he can't stand how screwed up this is, but he can't help how he feels. So he says that this is the last time he's going to ask, will you come with me? Says he already knows it's a better trip if they're together. And that's very sweet.
That's
so then
real.
He says he's going to go back to the loft and wait until 10. And if she's not there, cool, that's fine. They'll see each other over the summer. But he's going to wait for her. So she says, I can't believe you came back. Thoughts? Comments?
I mean, I just need some ice water. I don't I like it.
So then she keeps packing, and as she's moving a box, she drops an envelope with her name on it. And it turns out Noel left her a letter. And she reads it aloud to Sally. It says, "Dear Felicity, although it's true it seems impossible, 9 months ago I didn't even know you. Now I can say with absolute certainty that there's no one on the planet that means more to me than you. Whatever happened with you and Ben, and whatever happens with you and anyone, it could never change the way I feel. So with that, I conclude this sappy yet sincere letter and ask you to please seriously consider using the enclosed. Love, Noel." And again, it's like Ben's yearbook note to Felicity that we heard in the pilot, but now this is a note from Noel at the end of the year, which made me very, very hopeful as a Team Noel person that she was going to pick him. Because I'm like, oh, now she's getting the sweet note from Noel. But yeah, I thought, again, it showed some growth here for Noel, for him to like forget that she's kissed Ben and was going to go with him on this trip, to be like, you know what? I still really care about you. I hope you come to Berlin anyway. So yeah, that was still nice to see that maybe he's learned from some of the past stuff with Hannah and Ben and all of that. And I would love to get a letter that said all those things.
I'd love it if somebody meant it. I think it's kind of, I know maybe kids are, their perception of things is kind of weird, but that's fine. But they've known each other for 9 months and he cares about her more than anybody else on the planet. Like, that's big. Is that
he's met
like,
yet?
that
He's
seems,
like 19, so
Yeah.
That's what I mean. Like his brother that he was so close to, like he cares about her more than he cares about his brother.
yes.
Like, you know, it's just kind of weird. It's just like kind of weird to get my head around that. Like, are you serious? Or are you just saying words, you know, as part of your big speech that you're trying to give via letter?
I mean, it's
you
also
know?
like I loved you from the first moment I met you. Like, yeah, when you're young.
Which I also thought was a load.
No, I know, but like we're 30s and above, we think like, oh, that's not real. That doesn't happen. But when you're in your 20s or 19, like
I'm trying.
you think that love at first sight exists.
Yeah, I'm really trying. I'm just like, ugh.
Okay. It's all right. I'll
It's not sweeping me off my feet.
I'll slurp it up, all that sap.
Yeah, do
I'll
that.
slurp
Yeah.
it up.
That's good. That's good. I'm glad one of us does.
Yes.
No. I think they did a good job of like setting up both of them to like look good. Like we would have no clue at this point who she would choose, because I think both of them did a really good job explaining like how they felt. So
Right. Because it does open him up as an option again instead of a hard shutdown. So that's all right. That's all right. I'll go with it. I'm going along for the ride.
For the purpose of the plot, moving it forward.
Yes.
Yeah, that makes
Exactly.
sense.
I can get with that.
Then Felicity tells Sally about an ant farm that she had when she was younger, that she left it open once and all the ants had left and were gone. But they left behind all these tunnels that they were living in and working in. And as she's telling the story, we see these shots of all the lecture halls and hallways that they've been spending their time in all year, which I thought was a really beautiful little metaphor. And Felicity is this one last ant that is taking her bags out of Kelvin Hall to the taxi. We see Ben is waiting outside the loft by the car, and Noel is waiting at the airport gate for her. She tells Sally that she's made a decision. She's not flying home by herself. She didn't have to make a decision between Ben and Noel, but she did. So we see her tell the taxi driver where to, but we don't hear what she says. And we close on Felicity Porter, 99, written at the bottom of the list in the closet. And it's just utter perfection.
Oh yeah. Love that. Her name.
I just got chills.
It was, I mean, I teared up. I tear up every time. It's just like,
That's good stuff.
they told us just enough. Like, so she did make a choice between Ben and Noel. So we know it's not going to be like, oh, she chose no one and went to France by herself and discovered herself. Right? Like, we know she's going to choose one of these guys. And I think that I had like recorded this finale on VHS so that I could rewatch it over and over. And I think like that whole summer I was just rewinding that last portion. Lip reading. Yes. I was like, oh, it looks like she says a street address, not an airport. Oh my God, like what's going to happen? And it was just like the most agonizing summer ever, waiting for season 2 to come out to find out who she picked. And I just thought it was one of the best cliffhangers of a finale, one of the best finales ever, one of the best love triangles. I feel like even Dawson's Creek, like, you know, spoiler alert if you've never seen Dawson's Creek, but it's also a 25-year-old show. Like, we know that Joey picks Pacey. Like, we don't have to wait
she
for
should.
Yes. No contest. But like I don't feel like we had that same suspense at the end of a finale, even for that supposed love triangle. So I thought it was utter perfection.
It was wonderful. And this season, I mean, I've seen all 4, and this season obviously to me is the best. Like, everything about it was just perfect. No other season can compare. So it's kind of sad that it's over.
True.
But I think, yeah, there's still other stuff that I think a lot of people can look forward to in the coming season.
Yes.
That's right.
But I just think like that overall feeling of it, like you never really get again in the other seasons. So.
Well, yeah, it's kind of like that bittersweet feeling, like that end of your first year of college. It's like, oh, like I got through this whole year, and it's like, where did all that time go? Kind of like us getting through this first season of our podcast. Yeah, it's like a bittersweet thing. It's like, oh my gosh, we did it. It's like, oh my gosh.
Well, in this episode, our hay counter was only 4.
Oh.
And that, again, I think it's because it was jam-packed and the conversations were heavy and they just got right into everything. There was no time for haze. So that might be our lowest hay counter forever. Let us know, though, folks. Do you like the hay counter? Should we keep doing it? I don't know. I think it's a funny little quirk about the show, but maybe y'all are like, I don't care about you counting. It would save us time. So let us know in the comments if you like the hay counter. I think it does kind of tell the tale of the episode if it was like jam-packed with drama or if it was just more focused on talking.
Casual.
Yeah, exactly.
That's true.
And I will say I do have to wonder where Sally went. Like we know she comes back in season 2, but that was the only piece that I feel like was really missing here from the finale, especially. I think toward the end of the whole season, we're missing a lot of her. But especially in this finale, like it would have been so great to have her talk about like the end of her freshman year or like, oh, I'm so proud of you for getting through it and you did this and that. Like, again, I didn't really have an angsty away message this week because there was no Sally. So I think that's the only gripe I have about the finale is no Sally.
Yeah, that is weird.
Yeah. Megan was just a surrogate for us. It's just like, you got through the school year.
That's true.
Like, that's the closest thing we get to a Sally observation,
not as sappy.
I think. Yeah, no, not a sappy, just straight up.
Yeah, but I guess it was all about like her growing up a little bit for her freshman year, Felicity. So maybe her quote about the ant farm was supposed to be like the big main like final quote of the season.
It definitely filled that gap. And maybe it's also showing her growth that like she doesn't need that advisor, mentor anymore. She's having to figure things out herself. But yeah, I just wonder if that was on purpose or if Janine Garofalo wasn't available.
Yeah,
I just wonder. Yeah.
But they did bookend it with Habaleo at least, the guidance counselor, to be like, yeah, you've been there, and like kind of affirm like, yeah, this year did go okay for you, even though it was hard. Like you went through some stuff, but now you learned too, and you can offer your wisdom to next year's students when you're an RA.
Yep.
So it was kind of nice. I was glad to see him again.
All right, drum roll, please. Now we are at the point of our episode of doing our season 1 superlative.
Yay!
I can't wait.
So if you don't follow us on Instagram, make sure that you head over there because we love doing these little polls of our listeners. But we posted a form, a little survey on some of like the top characters and moments from season 1. We'd love to do this again as our podcast continues. But we're going to name some of our class superlatives for season 1 now. So our first one was cutest couple. So the nominees were Felicity and Noel, Ben and Julie, Felicity and Ben. Obviously, a very short couple maybe here. And then the last one was Javier and Ben. Javier and Benjamin.
Thank you for saying it that way.
People who haven't watched the whole series may not know the Javier story yet, but we'll get there. But the winner is, with 61% of the votes, Javier and Ben.
Are you serious? Oh my gosh, I'm so excited.
Oh, yay.
Which means we better see more Javier soon because we just didn't get enough of them together.
That is so funny. That was a joke.
And our listeners have the same sense of humor.
Oh my gosh. Oh, I couldn't be happier right now. My heart is so full.
I know. I think that was the best choice since we have like Heather's team Noel and Dr. Joe and I are team Ben. Like, I think that was a better choice for it. So everyone's neutral. Since we have such a divide amongst the three of us, to have a Javier and Ben, so it's more neutral.
Yeah. Yeah. Who can't get on board with Javier?
Absolutely. All right. Second category was class clown. We've had quite a few funny moments and characters this season. The nominees were Richard for all of his antics at Kelvin Hall, Megan because she's hilarious without realizing she's hilarious, Sean for also being hilarious sometimes when he's not meaning to, and he's just a goofy guy. And then Lynn, because he's also just a funny human being and has some good one-liners. And the winner is Richard. One Richard Code is the class clown, of course, with that classic line, "I'm gonna report your ass." That should be like one of the winners of season 1.
We need to get that on some merch.
I was just thinking that. I want that on a
Report
t-shirt.
your ass.
Like, ass needs to be like in italics.
Yes. Or all caps. Maybe we say some
bold.
stickers. Next up, the couple that should have been but never was. The nominees are Felicity and Eli. So, yes, they hooked up, but they were never a true couple.
Couple, yeah.
Elena and Noel. I remember, shout out to my sister, in the early watchings of the season, she was like, "Are Elena and Noel gonna get together?" I'm like, "Well, I can't tell you. I can't spoil this." So she was wondering if they were ever gonna get together, but I think, they so far have remained just friends. Then we have Elena and Eli, which Dr. Joe was rooting for hard at the beginning of the season.
Anybody, I don't care who's
Anyone
with him.
in
If I
Eli?
could see him more than that, I would be happy with that.
Yeah. We have Felicity and Todd Mulcahy, because someone hates me. And then I think this was a write-in, Elena and Lynn.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
I think we had a write-in vote
We did
here.
then, yeah. Interesting.
Never saw that. Were they even in the same scenes together? I don't remember that. Probably not.
And the winner is Felicity and Eli. Feli, Felicity,
Oh, Feli.
whatever.
That's cute.
Which totally makes sense. I think a lot of us, especially upon rewatch, were like, why didn't
Yes.
that happen? Why wasn't that a
Yeah.
thing?
Least
yeah.
problematic dude in
Eli's
the
amazing.
whole thing.
Team
Yeah.
Eli. Next up, we have most likely to succeed. And the nominees are Elena, obviously. Felicity, obviously. Noel, because he's in an amazing internship and graphic design showcase. He's a great graphic designer, apparently. And then Sean, because of his entrepreneurial spirit. But the winner is, with 84%, Elena, obviously.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good.
100% she's the most likely to succeed. Now this next one, I love this category. Most deserving of a season 2. I think season 1, there's so many ancillary characters that are introduced to us that we can fall in love with, and then they kind of disappear. We don't see them again. So the nominees are Eli, Lynn, Sansa, Guy, Todd Mulcahy, Hannah, and then we had a write-in for a tie between Lynn and Eli. So someone couldn't pick.
Okay.
But the winner is the most deserving of a season 2 with 46% of the vote, Eli.
Good. Justice has been served.
So Simon Rex, justice for Simon Rex, justice for Eli. So it sounds like our listeners agree that we wanted more Eli. And now the most quotable. We had quite a few nominees here. I think everyone's quotable in their own ways. So first up, Sally, obviously. Then we have Megan, who has some of the best one-liners in the show. We've got Lynn, who cracks us up. Richard, Felicity, Ben, Noel, and Elena. We kind of threw everyone in the mix
Like
here
everybody?
Yeah, we kind of threw everyone in the mix here. And we actually have a two-way tie here. The winners are Sally and Megan.
Yeah.
Nice. I definitely
For
agree with
very
that.
different reasons, they are quotable.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and then as we said, there's a lot of random residents at Kelvin. Some we never see again, but we do learn a little bit about each of them. So this category is favorite Kelvin Hall resident. The nominees are Guy, Daryl, the other advisor, RA, Sansa, Lewis, the serial killer turned pacifist. We've got Astrid, fucking Astrid at the beginning of the season, who's also an advisor as well, an RA. And we have Richard. The winner with 46% of the vote is Richard, which is probably why he got a permanent spot in the show.
Yeah.
Because he was the funniest and best of the Kelvin Hall residents. And now our last category is not about the characters or the plot points. It's about us, gentle listeners, your co-hosts. We wanted to hear from you. Who had the hottest takes? This one was not even close. With 54% of the vote, the winner is Dr. Joe.
Yeah.
Bring in the therapy knowledge to all of us. We love your takes, and they are hot. Piping hot takes.
Oh, thanks. I'm like, well, hottest takes doesn't mean best takes, so just calm down.
But it's what makes our episodes spicy and amazing. People come for hot takes. They don't come for boring usual takes.
True.
So
Fair. Thank you all. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, listeners.
So thanks to everyone who voted. This was fun for us. We love hearing from you. Glad that Eli got some more support. Megan got some love. Elena got some love as well, and of course Richard. We'll see a lot more of Richard and the gang next season. So I guess just to end this episode, this season, again, we are just so thankful and grateful for everyone who has been listening and rewatching along with us. We started this, I guess, almost a year ago at this point. Started thinking about it, talking about it. And yeah, I mean, it was summer last year. And by the time we started, like, how do we do this? Like, how does one do a podcast? None of us have ever done this before. We're amateurs. We've learned a ton. We're amateurs. We've learned a ton along the way. We've definitely had some hiccups with technology, and it's just been such a learning experience and a labor of love. And we've been so grateful for all the outpouring of support and the reviews and the Instagram comments. Like, we're so grateful that we have this little community here starting, and new people are joining every day. So if you're new and binging along with us, just thank you so much. It means a lot to us. I don't have the words to describe it. Normally I have words. I don't really have the words to describe how meaningful it is. And it's just so much fun for us because we love this little show and we love sharing it with all of you.
Well said. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
So we are planning a season 2. We will be taking a little bit of a break before tackling that, just because, as we said, there's a lot that goes into the podcast, and we all have our own full-time jobs and families and lives, and we're doing this on the side, but it's obviously something we really enjoy doing. But we are going to take a little bit of a break, and so we can come back refreshed for season 2. But we may be cooking a little something up in between. So stay tuned for more info on that. Again, follow us on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. Send us an email at felicitywasherepod@gmail.com if you want to send us any other comments. Leave us a review on Apple, on Spotify, wherever you listen to us. We love the support, and it helps us grow and reach more people when you give us a great review. And we will see you for season 2. We can't wait. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Felicity Was Here is produced, written, and edited by Heather, Melissa, and Dr. Joe. You can find us on Instagram and TikTok at Felicity Was Here Pod. If you're enjoying the pod, please leave us a review